or tenant. Contracts that we solicited by a salesperson who is not also acting as contractor must include the name of the salesperson in the contract. What form must a home improvement contract be in? A valid contract may come in written, oral, or any other form. However, for the purposes of the home improvement business law, home improvement contractors are required to provide a written and signed home improvement contract to each of their buyers and must include a complete and detailed listing of all materials and services to be performed. Are contractors required to provide written estimates as well? Contractors must provide written estimates if requested to do so. A reasonable fee may be charged for providing such estimate. The cost for doing so must be disclosed to the consumer prior to the furnishing of the estimate and shall be itemized and reflected in the total estimated contract price. Are there any other documents that must be given to the consumer prior to signing a contract? At their first meeting, contractors or salespersons must provide consumers with a separate document entitled Consumer Bill of Rights on Contracting for Home Improvements. A copy of the Bill of Rights must also be attached to any final contract. What information must a home improvement contract contain? The home improvement contract shall be legible in plain English and any other language that was used between the salesperson and buyer, and shall contain all of the following. Number 1, the date of the transaction, the contractor's name, office address, telephone number, license number, and the salesperson name and license number. Number 2, the approximate dates when work will begin and be substantially completed, including a statement of any contingencies that would alter the approximate completion date. In addition to the estimated dates, the contract shall also specify whether or not the contractor and the owner have determined a defined completion date to be of the essence. 3, description of the work to be performed, materials to be provided, including make, model number, or any other identifying information, and the agreed upon cost for work and materials. 4, a notice to the owner that the contractor who performs the contract and is not paid may have a claim against the owner, which may be enforced against the property in accordance with the applicable lien laws. 5, notice to the owner that the contractor is legally required to deposit all payments received prior to completion in accordance with Subdivision 4 of 71-A of the New York State lien, and that in lieu of such deposit, the home improvement contractor may post a bond or contract indemnity with the owner guaranteeing the return or proper application of such payments to the purposes of the contract. 6, if the contract calls for incremental payments, a schedule of payments showing the amount of each payment as a sum of dollars and cents is due. In addition to the schedule of payments, the schedule of payments must identify the state of completion of the work or services to be performed, including any materials to be supplied before each such progress payment. The amount of any such progress payments shall bear a reasonable relationship to the amount of work to be performed.
Ms. Chappelle, thank you. 1 second.
Yeah.
So remember, we talked about the lien law, but mechanical lien, that's all been covered. The Bill of Rights, the customer has that. They have rights. You cannot take away their rights. So your contract it's an agreement. An agreement is that two parties agree, but not to take advantage of the other one. That is basically what an agreement is supposed to be. But there are people that love to take the rights or really squeeze someone right through an agreement, but that's not the intent. Now, number 6 is very important because incremental payments does a couple of things. Deposits have to be realistic. They're an average about 20% or so of the size of the project. 20% is a good number. But there are people out there that will ask for full payment. You can't do that.
Right.
You haven't performed anything. But if you base your contract on incremental payments, it means that you finish one portion of the project and you get paid for it. It avoids complications later of collecting a full payment.
Yeah.
And it also keeps the project on track. So what some contractors do is that they wait to collect their full payment at the end. And what that does is that it puts a strain on the business because you're waiting for payment until you finish. That's not good. But there is a likelihood or a higher or there's a liability that you might not get paid because you get scammed. You finish the work, the homeowner doesn't pay. Or the payment doesn't come in on time because it's going to take a couple of weeks. That's why incremental or progress payments will reduce the liability, but also the amount of money that it's outstanding at the end of the day.
Right.
So I'm going to show you a contract, the contract that the city has that's pretty good at keeping track of your like you state demolition, rough, sheetrock. Every step that you're taking through the project, the person comes and signs and says, "Yeah, this has been completed." That's $5,000. They have to have it checked that day. So it's a stop and go at the moment. So you rather stop when they owe you less money, not when they owe you more money. You see what I'm saying? See the concept behind it? It's a better concept. And that's what you're trying to do. It's to avoid the hassles of not having enough funds, but also reducing your liability for non-payment. Let's try to hold the questions until we finish, and then Charlie, I'll take this one, but let's hold off on the questions.
Okay, I have a quick question. Yeah, I have a question regarding number 5. So does it mean that if the owner, if the owner fails to pay the payment after the contractor has finished the work, the contractor has a right to put a lien on this property?
That is correct. That's why they call it a mechanical lien also.
And what if the owner doesn't agree on this point?
You have to go to court. He has to resolve the lien.
I mean, when you sign the contract, when you sign the contract with the owner, doesn't agree that, on this clause in the contract.
So let's say that one more time.
When you sign the contract, for example, I'm the contractor. When I sign the contract with the homeowner and the homeowner sees this, see this lien, and he or she doesn't agree on this point, and
no is no. See, the thing is, if you have the right to do this no matter what, even if you don't have it in the contract, but you put it in there that if non-payment occurs, we will put a lien on your property. That's a right. That's normal.
That's normal. Okay.
That's normal. So if they don't like it, it's like, look, Either way, you don't pay. We go to court. So because you can go file a mechanical lien, you could go to court, which is another version of it. Small claims, depending if it's under. I think they picked up the amount. It was 10K or 15K or 20K, something like that. But the amount, you could go to small claims or you could go to court.
Okay.
So you have different avenues to collect your money, but the lien is on the property. So at any given time they go and try to get a loan, they're not going to get a loan because they have a lien on the property.
Okay. So
They go and sell the property. They can't sell the property because they have a lien. That's what the liens are designed to do.
yeah. Okay. Got it.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Ms. Chappelle, let's continue, please.
Okay. Number 7, any advertised representation, including but not limited to any charge, guarantee, or warranty, shall be clearly stated and made a part of the home improvement contract. Number 8, a clause wherein the contractor agrees to furnish a certificate of workman's compensation insurance prior to the commencement of work pursuant to the contract. 9, a clause wherein the contract agrees to procure all permits required by law. And 10, an immediate proximity to the space reserved in the contract for the signature of the buyer in boldface type, a minimum of 10 points, a statement in the following form. You, the buyer, may cancel this transaction at any time prior to midnight of the 3rd business day after the date of this transaction. See the attached notice of cancellation form for an explanation of this right. What is a notice of cancellation? The contractor or salesperson shall furnish to the buyer at the time he or she signs the home improvement contract a separate completed form in duplicate captioned Notice of Cancellation, which shall be attached to the contract and easily detachable, and which shall contain in 10-point boldface type, in English and in any other language used in the contract, the following information. Number 1, name and address of contractor. Number 2, date of transaction. Number 3, date until which the homeowner may give notice of cancellation. And number 4, the following statement. Notice of cancellation to the date and transaction. You may cancel this transaction without any penalty or obligation within 3 business days from the above date. If you cancel any property trade in, any payments made by you under the contract or sale, and any negotiable instrument executed by you will be returned within 10 business days following receipt by the seller of your cancellation notice, and any security interest arising out of the transaction will be canceled. If you cancel, you must make available to the seller at your residence in substantially as good condition as when received, any goods delivered to you under this contract or sale, or you may, if you wish, comply with the instructions of the seller regarding the return shipment of the goods at the seller's expense and risk. If you do make the goods available to the seller and the seller does not pick them up within 20 days of the date of your notice of cancellation, you may retain or dispose of the goods without any further obligation. If you fail to make the goods available to the seller, or if you agree to return the goods to the seller and fail to do so, then you remain liable for performance of all obligations under the contract. To cancel this transaction, mail or deliver a signed and dated copy of this cancellation notice or any other written notice, or send a telegram to blah 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 at t blah blah blah, no address, no later than midnight of date. I hereby cancel this transaction. Add your signature and date. When does the cancellation not occur?
Ms. Chappelle, 1 second.
Sure.
So, you know, the 3-day cancellation is really crucial to understand that you need to inform the buyer or the homeowner or whoever you're doing the work for. You have a 3-day cancellation period. And we must abide by it. You must. So you tell them first, then they sign this notice of cancellation. But the rule is you must tell them first. If you didn't, this doesn't, it's for, if you don't tell them, this doesn't count if they sign. But you must tell them, which is a weird statement, but a weird regulation. So they want you to do that. Now, the one thing with this is that, and I don't know who's sending telegrams. I think our telegrams coming back because, you know, everything's coming back. Everything from the 70s and the 80s and 90s and 2000s. Even the music is coming back.
Everything that was better.
Yeah, exactly. But you see that if the intent of the homeowner is not to be bound by the contract, please let it go. Just, if they send you a text message and they say, look, I don't want to do this, that is valid. They send you a voicemail and you get it in the morning, it is valid. They send you a letter and it's postmarked and it was sent 2 weeks ago and you get it today, it is valid as long as it's postmarked. So this is the rule. But in business sense, do you want to deal with someone that's going to have money issues to pay you? Or a person that's not committed to a project? I don't think so. Let's say that, so the 3-day is a real thing. But let's say you put the project to start on the 5th or 7th day because holidays or whatever it is. And the person goes, look, I don't want to do this. It's 7 days, it's past the 3 days. Do you continue with the project? Yes or no? Give me an answer, anyone.
No,
Why? Why wouldn't you?
because that already indicates that, so there's reluctance to move forward. They might be having buyer's remorse, and this person most likely will not pay you.
Exactly. Why would you, now you can hold their feet to the fire and say, I got you under contract, you're gonna have to pay. And you can collect a small fee for the transactional.
What the fuck?
But you can't say you owe me, it's just, do you want to get into
You know,
that?
not do a class,
Because
nobody not
remember,
there
you
yet.
have to go and hire attorneys, you have to do all of this stuff. Now, if they cancel within those 3 days, you have to give them 100% of their money within 10 days. This is also another reason why I tell all my students, all business owners, do not buy anything until you confirm that you're starting. So some people say, oh, I'm going to buy the materials and store them. No, I'm going to buy materials and leave them. No, we have to wait until this is over to get started. Once this is over, we come in, we start delivering stuff. Do not buy or contract yourself out to do anything. Because if they cancel, you can't say, oh, you know, I just bought all this flooring for you. You got to give it to at 100%. If you leave materials, equipment, or anything on the job site within those 3 days, the homeowner has to make it available within 20 days. But you have 20 days to pick up. If you don't, It belongs to the homeowner. The homeowner can do whatever they want. So you have to know the timeline. You have to play with it. You have to say, okay, this is what it is. So don't mess around with it and think that this is gonna just, that this you can play with. Because if they make a claim at the Department of Consumer Affairs or the Workers Department of Consumer Protection, right? Department of Workers and Consumer Protection, it becomes a big issue because if you never really took care of this 3-day cancellation correctly, they have a valid claim. So we need to pay attention to the details and the paperwork here. Okay. Let's continue, please.
Okay. Where did I go? Okay, so when does cancellation occur? Cancellation occurs when written notice of cancellation is given to the home improvement contractor. Notice of cancellation, if given by mail, shall be deemed given when deposited in a mailbox properly addressed and postage prepaid. Notice of cancellations shall be sufficient if it indicates the intention of the owner not to be bound. Does notice of cancellation have to be written? The buyer's notice of cancellation to the contractor or salesperson need not take the form prescribed and shall be sufficient if it indicates the buyer's intention not to be bound. Are contractors or salespersons required to inform buyers of their rights to cancel? Contractors or salespersons shall inform buyers orally at the time a contract is signed of their right to cancel. Contractors or salespersons shall not misrepresent in any manner buyers' rights to cancel. And until the contractor or salesperson has notified the buyer or any other person obligated for any part of the contract price, those persons may cancel the home improvement contract by notifying the contractor or salesperson at any time, in any manner, and by any means of his or her intention to cancel. The 3-day cancellation period shall not begin until the time the contractor or salesperson orally informs the buyer of his or her right to cancel. What should a contractor do if a homeowner wants to cancel the contract? The contractor or salesperson shall not fail to honor any valid notice of cancellation by the buyer, and within 10 business days after the receipt of such notice, the contractor or salesperson shall, 1, refund all payments made under the contract, 2, cancel any negotiation instrument executed by the buyer in connection with the contract, 3, terminate any security interest created in the transaction, and 4, within 10 business days of receipt of the buyer's notice of cancellation, the contractor or salesperson shall notify the buyer whether the contractor intends to repossess or to abandon any ship of delivered materials. Besides the 3rd-day cancellation period, are there any other time restrictions that run from the timeline a contract is signed? The contractor or salesperson shall not negotiate, sell, transfer, or assign any note or other evidence of indebtedness to a finance company or other third party prior to midnight of the 5th business day following the day the contract was signed. Can a contract be canceled if the buyer waived his or her right to cancel? A home improvement contract may not be canceled if the buyer initiated the contract and requested commencement of work without delay because of any emergency, provided that the buyer furnishes the contractor with a separate dated and signed personal statement in the buyer's handwriting describing the situation, requiring immediate remedy, and expressly acknowledging and waiving the right to cancel the contract within 3 business days. What is considered a business day? For purposes of this section, a business day is any calendar day except Sunday and the following business holidays: New Year's Day, Washington's birthday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. Besides waiving the right to cancel, in the event of an emergency, can a homeowner's waiver their rights of protection? No. Agreements of statements of an owner under a home improvement contract shall constitute a waiver of any provisions of this subchapter intended for the benefit or protection of the owner, except as provided in the event of an emergency.
So, quick note here. Thank you, Michelle. So business days are a lot of people think it's Monday through Friday. It's Monday through Saturday. Saturday is counted for.
Interesting.
Years ago, that's actually, everyone has a mindset thinking that that's what it is. But then the holidays have changed over time. The city has been adding new holidays to the calendar. So you have to go and look up the New York City holidays to say, okay, what's a holiday for this contract, right? And then mark them down, because these are the valid dates that you must follow. Remember, there's no waiving of rights to cancel. You can't, in an event of an emergency, they can waive the 3-day, but don't waive the rights. So you can say, look, we are, putting the 3-day cancellation on to the side, and then we're moving forward because if it's an emergency, and state what the emergency is. But that's the important part. Let's continue, please.
Okay. Penalties and suspension of licenses. Who makes up the rules and regulations of the Department of Consumer Affairs? The Commissioner makes such rules and regulations not inconsistent with the provisions of the Home Improvement Business Law, as may be necessary with respect to the form and content of license applications, the investigations of applicants and their qualifications, and the enforcement of the city's home improvement business law. What is the extent of the Department of Consumer Affairs' power to investigate? If the Commissioner, upon reasonable cause, should believe that any licensee or any other person has violated any provisions of the home improvement business law, he or she have the power to make such investigation as he or she shall deem necessary. And to the extent necessary for this purpose, he or she may examine such licensees or any other persons that shall have the power to compel the production of all relevant books, records, accounts, documents, or other records. Can the Department of Consumer Affairs impose fines? The Commissioner shall have the power to impose a fine not exceeding $1,000 and/or suspension or revoke a license or deny an application for the issuance or renewal of a license for any one or more of the following causes. Number 1, fraud, misrepresentation, or bribery in securing a license. 2, making of any false statement as to the material matter in any application for a license. 3, the the person or the management personnel of the contractor are untrustworthy or not of good character. 4. Business transactions of the contractor have been marked by a practice of failure to timely perform or complete its contracts, or the manipulation of assets or accounts, or by fraud or bad faith, or is marked by an unwholesome method or practice of solicitation of business from owners. 5. Failure to display the license as provided in the Home Improvement Business Law. 6. Failure to comply with any demand or requirement lawfully made by the Commissioner. 7. When an agent or employee of a licensee has been guilty of an act of omission, fraud, or misrepresentation, and the licensee has approved or had knowledge thereof. Number 8, violation of any provision of the Home Improvement Business Law or any rule or regulation adopted hereunder or for performing or attempting to perform any prohibited act, see A, contractor cannot above. 9, violation of any provision of subchapters 1, 2, or 3 of the Housing and Buildings Code or subchapter 1 of the Construction and Maintenance Code or any rule adopted thereunder. Furthermore, the Commissioner shall suspend or revoke the license of any licensee who continues to work in violation of a stop work notice order. Number 10, in addition to any of the powers that may be exercised by the Commissioner pursuant to the subchapter and chapter 1 of this title, the Commissioner, after notice and an opportunity to be heard, may refuse to issue or renew, or may suspend or revoke a license required under this subchapter if the applicant or licensee or any of its principals, officers, or directors, or any of its stockholders owning more than 10% of the outstanding stock of the corporation has been convicted of a crime, which, in the judgment of the Commissioner, has a direct relationship to such person's fitness or ability to perform any of the activities for which a license is required under this subchapter, or has been convicted of any other crime which, in accordance with the Article 23 of 23A of the correction law, would provide a justification for the Commissioner to refuse to issue or renew or to suspend or revoke such license. What is Article 23A of the correction law? Article 23A of New York Correction Law prohibits unfair discrimination against persons previously convicted for one or more criminal offenses. It states that no application for any license or employment and no employment of license held by an individual to which the provisions of this article are applicable shall be denied or acted upon adversely by reasons of the individual's having been previously convicted of one or more criminal offenses, or by any reasons, or by reason of a finding or lack of good moral character, when such finding is based upon the fact that the individual has previously been convicted of one or more criminal offenses, unless 1. There is a direct relationship between one or more of the previous criminal offenses and specific license or employment sought or held by the individual, or 2. the issuance of continuation of the license or the granting or continuation of the employment would involve an unreasonable risk to property or the safety or welfare of specific individuals or the general public.
Ms. Chappelle, 1 second, please. Thank you. So I will tell you this, that any type of association with the ownership or association with owners or employees that have had criminal background that could be, I think the word is detrimental to the license or to the public. They don't want that. They don't want any of it. So the commissioner has the right to revoke, suspend, do whatever they need to do to get you removed. They can go retroactively. It doesn't matter at what point you applied. So you have to be very careful with that. Now, when it comes to Article 23A, so they're telling you, look, we just want you to be very straightforward. Now, mind you, I told you this early on, you can have a criminal history or situation, but that doesn't sort of remove you from it. But it has to be reasonable enough that it doesn't endanger property or the homeowner. It also goes under Article 23A. What they're saying is that if you're going to hire someone, you have to follow the same guidelines. But you cannot discriminate because the person has had a problem or running with the law. You can't just say, oh, you got arrested before, but you don't even know for what. So you cannot go and deny them the opportunity for employment. It is against the law. A lot of people suffered from this for many years. I think God knows how long this has been going on. Society has come to terms in some way. So still happens, and it happens worse in other places. But you cannot, as a business owner, as a contractor, say, no, I don't want to deal with you. You have to give them an opportunity for employment. Now, the exception is they have to tell you what it is. Now,
I'm sorry, can I cut in here? I really have to cut in here. So you can't technically, as Department of Labor laws, you cannot ask someone if they were previously arrested. They changed some of the laws of what it is. You can only get it if you're trying to do a background checks, and they have changed the laws to figuring out what you can do it, because what can happen is, and I'm saying this because I've worked on that side of it, if you ask someone if they were previously arrested, they can report you to the Department of Labor for discrimination and file a suit on you, and they can actually freeze your EIN number with that stuff. So I would tell people, be very precautious about asking people. I would just suggest don't ask about people's criminal record. If you're going to have a standardized background check, then that's something else, and it pops up, and then you get more insight. But I'm telling people, do not ask this. You can get into a lot of huge violations with Department of Labor with that stuff. Sorry, I'm just saying this because I know it's been in the past that was something on. You can't even have it on your application if someone was arrested anymore. It's been removed.
Yeah, thank you for that. And you're absolutely right. Some of the stuff has changed, and also for city law, it changed not so long ago. I got to look it up again now that I'm thinking about it. So you can't discriminate, basically. Let's put it that way. You really have to be very careful. I will try to find you some the right language on it to get it.
I can send you some, because this is what I also do in the background. I can send you the articles, and also because of cannabis being new now in New York State in particular, There is requirements for heavy materials, whether you can give someone a drug test or not anymore, depending your industry. So you guys also have to be careful about that, because you can now file a lawsuit saying you're discriminated because you know I smoke weed. Sorry, that's the unfiltered way of saying it. Just so people understand, and it goes the same thing about sexual orientation and people's HIV status. You cannot ask anybody about any of those things.
Yeah, no. We're staying on this part here. And thank you for that. You really can't discriminate in any way, basically. But in this case, we want to tread very carefully. There's more to it than ever. Things have changed dramatically in the last 3 years, Esther? 3 or 4 years?
10 years.
10 years?
No, it's really been the last 4 years.
4 years.
Because of also with in certain specific things, there's been dramatic shifts because of COVID, that they changed a lot of policies of what can and cannot be done. COVID made a lot of HR policies. So anyone who has the handbook, I would tell them to renew their handbook, because there's a lot of things of people going out on leave, sick leave. There's a lot of stuff that changed because of COVID. And then they figured, hey, I'm here. Why don't we change a couple of more stuff? That's why.
Right. And thank you for that, because that makes it even, what I'm going to have to do this year around, I think this is the last go with this study guide, because we've been using it for years and we've been very consistent. But I can tell you that the study guide that the Department of Consumer Affairs puts out is so vague that this language is not even in there. That's how bad it is. So I try to remind people of the pitfalls with this stuff, and to be mindful that you can't do certain things, right? But yeah, so we need to just be very careful. We need to look up the information, what's allowed and not allowed. But there's many things that, as a business owner, that you're going to have to deal with, and this is part of the maintenance and upkeeping to make sure that you stay current. But you need to be very careful of where when in terms of trying to really find the right employees, you're going to have to, it goes back to Esther talked about background checks. It's going to cost you money. Run it. But you get the information you're looking for if you're interested in the person. But you want to see what you're getting before you put them into a project. Are there any issues, then you can pull back and do it that way. So just be very mindful. Some people don't like to spend the money, which causes more issues. But you'd rather spend money to get it right the first time versus leaving it until a problem occurs. Look, this issue has been around, and like I said, it's been around for a long time. Racism plays out. It is real. From everything to everything. If you didn't look a part or didn't play a part, you could be weeded out very quickly. But you can't do the same. You can't do that at all.
Mr. Hernandez, could I just interject and say one thing so that some people know? If anybody on here has their own business or is looking for employees, there is a place in the Bronx. It's called CEO Academy, and they actually work with people who've been formerly incarcerated, and they have electrical apprenticeships and training programs and plumbing and all of that stuff. And they're always looking for business owners to place these individuals. So, if you're just starting out and you want to give somebody a hand up who is, a minor infraction or whatever, it doesn't matter, but this is the way, that you can help everybody.
tech experience and workforce stuff. But I will say with the people who are formerly incarcerated, what some people don't know is that if you structure your business in a programming property, you'll get payroll tax credit. I worked for a couple of companies that do that. New York State actually gives you payroll tax credit for hiring people re-entering and give you subsidized credit. So don't think that this is actually a negative. It's actually a benefit because New York wants to rehabilitate a lot of people. And if you connect with the right nonprofits or organization, they give you a really good subsidized payroll tax credit for any person. And the longer you keep them employed, the longer they keep the subsidy part of your business. You know, payroll is the highest cost in any business. So when you're thinking about where you can save money, especially in payroll, that's another place where you can get those subsidized credits in New York State. They've changed a lot of stuff where I think in the construction place, you're going to get a lot of different tax credits if you put your business in these programs, just as a caveat to what you're saying. Sorry, don't want to hold you guys up.
Miss Esther.
Yeah, I mean, it's good information we could take offline too. Like everybody should connect and exchange, you know, if you want to reach out to someone offline.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Miss Esther, do they help with leads too?
Yes, they help with job placement, leads, and stuff like that. They're no longer in the space of because you did one actions. A lot of our legislators are putting more money in reinvestment programs or rehabilitative programs. So what they started doing is actually adding tax credits for businesses as if they're helping with that pipeline of rehabilitation, especially with departments of corrections. They're starting to uptake where they're doing more of these certification programs now and contracting a lot of companies to do that kind of stuff so that people have opportunities immediately when they get out.
Thank you. And their name is CEO affiliated?
I
No,
can give
that's
you
the one I
name.
was talking about.
Yeah,
The
that's the one in the
CEO
Bronx.
Academy
Yeah.
is the one that I was talking about. I just put the name in the chat
Okay.
and I can send you a link later.
Thank you.
All right.
I can send the organization names and you can put it out there, Professor Henderson,
Sure.
for minutes.
Hey,
Yeah, so
appreciate
I don't want to
you.
hold this up, but yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
from experience, I would tell you something. As a new business, liability and risk, and you know this very well, is very high. Don't get into something until you have a foothold on the industry or your business.
Right.
You're taking on a challenge of people that are being rehabilitated. That's what actually I studied in college, it's criminology. And I know exactly how it works. So there is a time and a period for sort of removing them from that environment and getting them into a safe space. But that takes time. And as a business owner, you cannot run risk that quickly. So my issue is, and it's happened to one of my clients, is that she did one of the programs and they all ganged up on her and sued her. So I tell you, if there is no supportive structure for a business owner for the onboarding and support moving forward, be very careful. You know, because I know everyone wants to play the placements, everyone wants to do the right thing, but there has to be a support structure that is a continuous process through to help everyone understand, you know, from being in behind walls into a normal setting or work setting. It's a whole different environment, different learn. But it's not done instantly. It takes time. So there's always a concern there that you have to be mindful of, because as a new business, you could be out of pocket very quickly. You could be out of money. So when you're about to do something like this, do it with understanding every aspect of what you're going to be dealing with and what do you have in place to support it. Because if you don't, and something goes wrong, you can't blame the programs. You're going to have to take the hit. So I just Go in with it with that understanding first, and then take it slowly. Don't try to incorporate too much very quickly, because you are a new business. It's a new venture. So that's my advice to everyone. Okay. All right. Let's continue, please, because we got to get through this.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to the aforementioned, what other fines or penalties might home improvement contractors incur? Any contractor, canvasser, or seller of home improvements who shall knowingly make any false or fraudulent representation or statements, or who makes or causes any such statements to be made in respect to the character or any sale, or as to the quality, condition, or value of any property offered by him or her for sale, shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction shall be punished by up to 1 year of imprisonment or by a fine not exceeding $1,000. Are there civil penalties that contractors might incur? Any person who is included to contract for home improvements in reliance on false or fraudulent representation or statements knowingly made may sue and recover from such home improvement contractor a penalty of $500 in addition to any damages sustained. Is there a distinction between willful and unwillful violations? In some cases, yes, and some cases, no. Where any violation is found to be willful, or where such violation has posed a threat to the health or safety of the owner, the commissioner may order the contractor to pay the owner an amount which shall not exceed 3 times the actual amount of any damages sustained by the owner. What is the process for how fines are given or penalties imposed? No license shall be suspended or revoked, nor fine imposed until after a hearing had before an officer of the department upon notice to the licensee of at least 10 days. The notice shall be served either personally or by first-class mail to the licensee at his or her last known address, and shall state the date and place of the hearing and set forth the ground or grounds constituting the charges against the licensee. The licensee shall be heard in his or her defense, either in person or by counsel, and may produce witnesses and testify in his or her behalf. As stenographic or electronic record of the hearing shall be made and preserved. The hearing may be adjourned from time to time. The person conducting the hearing shall make a written report of his or her findings and a recommendation to the commissioner for a decision. The commissioner shall review such findings and the recommendation, and after due deliberation, shall issue an order accepting, modifying, or rejecting such recommendation, and dismissing the charges or suspending or revoking the license. For the purpose of this subchapter, the commissioner or any officer of or employee of the department designated by him or her may administer oaths, take testimony, subpoena witnesses, and compel the production of books, papers, records, and documents deemed pertinent to the subject of investigation. What if I don't agree with the ruling of the Department of Consumer Affairs? The action of the commissioner in suspending, revoking, or refusing to issue a renew a license may be reviewed by a proceeding brought under the pursuant to Article 78 of the Civil Practice Law and Rules. What is Article 78 of the Civil Practice Law and Rules? An Article 78 proceeding is used to appeal the decision of a New York state or local agency to the New York courts. The main argument you can raise is that the agency didn't follow its own rules when it made the decision. Two other things that the court can consider are whether the decision was arbitrarily and capricious or not supported by substantial evidence. These words have specific legal meanings. Arbitrary and capricious means the decision is not reasonably related to the facts of the case. Substantial evidence is evidence that a reasonable person would accept as enough to support the agency's decision. Most people who lose a hearing probably feel that they should win on both of those issues. However, New York courts very often decide in favor of the agency if the agency has written down some reasons for its decision, even if many people would think the decision was wrong. If participating in the Home Improvement Business Trust Fund, aren't I relieved of any obligation to pay fines or penalties? No. Participation in the fund does not relieve a licensee of any obligation to pay awards or fines imposed by the Department of Consumer Affairs, or judgments or arbitration awards rendered by a court of competent jurisdiction. This trust fund was established with the purpose of providing outstanding awards to aggrieved consumers and fines owed to the Department of Consumer Affairs. If a contractor who participates in the trust fund is unwilling to incapable of paying these obligations, the department will take the following steps before invading the trust fund. 1. Conduct an administrative hearing that results in a finding that a home improvement contractor is in violation of the law, accordance, or regulation enforced by the DCA, and the DCA or a court has rendered a decision, judgment, or arbitration award against the contractor for damages suffered by a consumer arising out of a home improvement contract. 2. The contractor is ordered by the DCA to pay an award to a consumer, a departmental fine, or to satisfy a judgment or arbitration award. 3. The contractor has failed to pay such award to a consumer, a departmental fine, or satisfy a judgment or arbitration award within 30 days of the date of the department's order. 4. The department has revoked the contractor's license, or the contractor has surrendered or failed to renew said license after the department's order. Are there special penalties for operating without a license or continuing to operate after a license has been suspended or a stop work order issued? Yes. Violation of stop work order is a $5,000 fine for the first offense and $10,000 for each separate offense thereafter. In addition, home improvement contractors can have their licenses suspended or revoked and have additional fines imposed by the Department of Consumer Affairs for violating stop work orders. Additionally, a contractor can be fined up to $1,000 for each separate offense of operating without a license or continuing to operate after a license has been suspended or revoked. The contractor may also be held in prison for up to 6 months for each separate offense, and any tools, vehicles, or other belongings that are used in connection with the business may be confiscated. It seems like all of the regulations here about protecting It seems like all of the regulations here are about protecting homeowners. Aren't there any laws that protect the contractor's interests? The home improvement business law falls under the Consumer Affairs title of the New York City Administrative Code. It is understandable, therefore, that the rules and regulations outlined here all promote protection of the consumer. Contractors are not without their own rights. However, this is the duty of the contractor, not the Department of Consumer Affairs, to protect his or her own interests to the fullest extent of the law.
Wow. Thank you, Ms. Chappelle.
You're welcome. That was a mouthful.
Thank you, Veronica. Who's the person? Esther also. And there was one more yesterday. Who was reading for us yesterday? No, it was today. It was today. All right. So, let me get through some things that we need to go through. So now we have 3 quizzes. And what I can do is the 3 quizzes will be part of your homework to do on your own. And I will send you the answer key to see if you got them right or wrong, right? That would be a better plan than trying to do it all 3, because then we're going to run into 3 and we'll be here all day. We're running out of time, and I need to show you other things that you need to be mindful of. Let me see. Now I want to show you this document. So that's what we're going to do with the quizzes, right? So I don't want you to be like, oh, we didn't finish the quizzes. The quizzes will be part of your homework. Now, one thing before, or for you to understand, you need, when you go and take the exam, forget about the quizzes, just take the study guide with you. Do not touch anything else. I don't want you to go through anything else. Also, in the exam, you see a word or anything that talks about being responsible. Remember, the contractor is responsible, so that the answer is always the contractor. That's for you to help you. But you will be fine. So remember, when you go and say, I submitted my application, I did everything, the study guide, you read it one more time or twice, and you just go and take your exam and you're done. Okay? You're taking the exam based on your time frame. We do not do any of that. We don't set it up. We don't do anything. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. We included a document inside your folder that gives you a step-by-step of completing your application, but it starts with starting the business. I think Sean and a few others were asking, hey, what goes first or second? And here it is. It's called the application submission exam instructions. It's in your document. So it tells you a step-by-step of what you want to do. Do you want to do a corporation? You want to get an EIN? Remember the sales tax identification number, Sean? You were asking about it? Here it is. So it's all here for you. So it goes line by line, right? And you can submit it in person, schedule an exam. So these are the parts you have to take care of in the beginning. And you can click on it. This is supposed to be clickable. Let me see. Or I think she sealed it, but didn't add the links. All right. I'll send you another document. This was locked. But this is the publication for everything. But what I'm going to move into is making sure that you have the website. Bear with me, I'm just pulling it up really quick. I'm going to include the website in the chat so you can have it. Let me see what I'm sharing now. I got to share this one. And I'm going to put this in the chat. Oh, perfect. There you go. Here's the main website for everything related to the home improvement contractor. Okay. So that is the website. You should copy it and put it somewhere just in case. So the website itself, you see, I told you that it has everything in English, Spanish, Arabic, Bengali, Chinese, or Chinese traditional, French, Creole, Polish, and I think this in Urdu and Korean. So it has everything you need. So now if you click on the English version, it will give you everything in terms of what you got to do. This is the checklist of everything that you have to put together. Okay. So it tells you where to go for your sales tax ID. So you go here. It tells you the proof of address of business. This is, and it says, remember to read everything. It goes back to paperwork. Remember we talked about this? It says submit a copy of one of the following. Not all of this, just one. So you do the same thing. Copy of one for proof of home address. It could be the same. So you provide one for the business and one. And it could be under your name. It doesn't have to be, but you have to show proof of where you're going to be conducting business. The workers' comp information is here. The EPA, if you're going to be working in old buildings, is here. Remember, the first two are for lead, but an affirmation is saying that you're not going to be in buildings. So you got to pick the right form. Also, the trust fund. So you're selecting the $200, the contractual agreement, the exam fee is $50, and then you have, so only one of the following person needs to pass a home improvement, and that's the owner, one of the owners, right? Or only more than 10% of stock. That's why I said it has to be ownership. It cannot be someone that is, I think I'm talking about 51%, but anyone with a 10% or more can take the exam. 51% is like for certifications and everything else. You have 60 days to take it past the exam, and it appears in a system called Exam Builders. So you have to do all of this, but remember, your application, your fingerprints, everything has to be approved first. And this document, the checklist document, goes over every part that you're going to be going through. Okay. So I wanted to show you that. That's not it. That's not it. That's done. Let me go back here. So you see, this is what you're going to have to bring in order for you to complete it. Tells you everything. That's the checklist also. Also, a business bank account. Remember, you must have that. You must have proof that you have a business bank account. They will not let you they will not approve the application if it's not included. We just went through all of this. Fingerprinting is very easy. A lot of the fingerprint locations are nearby. Daniel, you have a question?
For liability, I know it says workman's comp to be able to take the test. It doesn't mention anything about liability, so you can get
No, you don't need workers' comp to take it.
You don't need the workman's comp
No.
to start. You don't need
To
it.
start, you don't need that. You don't need GL. You just need to have the business registered and everything. I don't want you to spend money on things you don't need.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, so what you do is, I would advise everyone that once you open up your business, you go in and get an insurance quote for general liability and workers' comp. Do all of that so you understand what that cost is going to be, but do not start buying stuff. Because if you're not fully engaged in acquiring business in terms of doing business, why would you, if you have the money, fine, do it. But I try to have everyone hold off until you get everything settled, but at least you'll have your license set. That to me, that's important. Also, remember, workers' comp, if you're going to hire employees, must be in effect before you hire someone. You cannot do it. You could do it after, but you're going to get penalized. The regulation and the policy state it has to be purchased prior to anyone starting. Then you can continue. And workers' comp comes with disability insurance. So it's not just one, you get two policies in one. Larry Williams?
Hey, just thank you. Just to clarify, what's the license fee again?
The license fee is about $100. Hold on 1 second, I'll pull it up now.
Okay.
Right here. So this is what I'm saying. It could range from $25 to $100. The exam fee is $50, but the license is going to be between $25 to $100. So you end up spending about $150.
Okay.
It just depends on they have this very weird system. So if you take the exam around here, March through 1st to August 31st, in an odd year, which we are in an odd year, it would be $100. Okay. And then if you take it in a certain time, your license won't go for 24 months. It would be for 18 months. So you got to look at the timeline. And they will tell you, look, you're only good up to this year, and then you're going to have to renew it very quickly. Ms. Brathwaite, you have a question.
Yes. For someone like me that just wants to be like, a CM of my own property, wouldn't it make sense for me just to do the DBA, sole proprietor?
No, don't. The liability issue.
Okay.
You're saying, look, I'm the business. They can sue and try to take the estate.
Okay. And then I have an S corp, and I was in the process of contacting the IRS to change the scope of the business.
Right.
I guess because it was more in entertainment, and this is like construction. So I was told I could call the IRS and just have them change it instead of refiling all this stuff all over again.
Exactly. You
What?
can do that.
Okay.
You can do that, but you have to also do it with the state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not
Well, I
just
think I actually have to change that based on what Miss Esther had shared. Thank you very much. I have to jump it back here to New York and make sure it's all in one place.
Yeah, so my advice to you is to close the whole thing down and start fresh.
Oh, okay. Instead of doing that, it makes
Yeah,
it
if it's out of state, it's you're gonna still go through the hoops to get back to New York. So
Okay.
your best bet is to call the IRS, shut it down, call the state of where you the state where you registered, and say, look, I need to shut it down. How do I do it? And they'll tell you what to do. You have to send a letter, pay a fee, shut it down. If you registered in New York, shut it down. And also, you shut it. So it's the IRS, everyone. And if you're required to file a tax return to close it with the tax return at the same time.
Okay. And then the last question I had, this might be a stupid question.
No, never so.
I'm not, it sounds a little. If I had to hire my own, people to do some of the work, and we're going to do workers' comp, do I also have to provide them benefits as well? Like, we didn't talk about that, but is the benefit just the workers' comp?
So workers' comp is insurance.
Right.
So remember, there's three types. The first one is general liability, which is more for the property. It does cover injury, but it's more property, assets related, business operations related. And then workers' comp is for the individual, for the person, for
Right.
the workers. But it also comes with disability. So just to quickly explain what those two are, workers' comp is for on-the-job injury. Disability is off-the-job injury. So for example, someone is home and they slice their finger cutting a fruit, but they slice it so bad that they got to get 18 stitches, let's say. They can't work. They can go on disability insurance, not workers' comp, disability.
So that's different from any health insurance, like.
Yeah, so benefits are a whole different ball of wax. So if you're gonna offer benefits, are you gonna offer health benefits, short-term disability benefits, 401k? Those are benefit plans, they're called.
Okay,
So that's an added expense that you might have to
but it's
upkeep.
optional.
It's optional. If you need something like that, let me know. I do have folks that do packages. They prepare the whole thing. for you.
Okay, the
I
last,
think she was trying to say about health insurance. There are some requirements. I don't know exactly what construction. I'm not going to act, but I know in the other areas, if there's certain things that you're doing, you are required to carry health insurance, and you have to register with the New York department. What is it? The healthcare market and stuff, because there's a form you're actually required to submit on the behalf of an employee showing that they had insurance for the last 12 months. It was during that time where Obama had put the initiation of healthcare insurance, but it gets a little complicated. I would tell you to do your research to make sure, because some companies are required to have health insurance.
It depends on the size of the business. So the smaller businesses are not required to provide health insurance, but if it's part of the benefits package, you have to. If you want to provide a stipend towards the healthcare plan, because you can pull one, the minimum requirement for any health related package nowadays is about 10 people. They won't allow, you could go to the market and do all of that, but small businesses have it really tough because the expense is too much. So what I have businesses do is that they'll provide a stipend for the additional cost to cover. So that will cover the out-of-pocket expense per month. So that's a way of saying, we provide some type of health care if you're going to do that. So just keep that in mind.
okay, well, as a homeowner, when I've embarked on this construction path, I looked into builder's risk insurance. When I spoke to the contractors, they're like, why have that? You're covered under us. But I'm like, I'm covering myself just in case, and your insurance is just for really you and any issues. I mean, am I right, just as the owner?
Yeah.
Should we still encourage I guess I'm gonna be on both sides, but with a contractor, should they be discouraging homeowners not to do builder's risk?
You should. You remind me of a student, and I know I'm sort of veering off, and we're gonna have to cut it short.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
No worries, but I'll tell you quick. I had a student who was a military officer, and I'll tell you this, that she asked some really great questions during that class. It was in Suffolk, and she is the one that right now that unloads all of our military personnel all around the world, and she's sitting in my class, which is phenomenal. It touched my heart. And she was from Jamaica, Jamaican lady, beautiful lady, and she just knew her stuff. But she is actually going through hell on earth, just like you did, Ms. Bradley. And but she learned so very quickly, and she actually had that insurance. And that insurance actually protected her projects all the way through, and they were all pissed that she had the insurance, because that insurance is very strong. and they don't like it. They don't like it at all because it puts a lot of requirements. So you're on the right path, and it's just an added protection if they fail to do whatever needs to be done. But here's the thing, that the insurance will pay for it on your side, but the insurance will come after everything they have. That's what they don't want. So that's strategy right there, but don't get discouraged to get things that will protect you at the same time. Okay? That's good. That's a good one. I was going to talk about earlier, yesterday, but we had to move on. But she's dynamic. She's actually, I mean, I haven't heard from her in a little while, but she travels all over the world. But she owns property, and they tried to, right around COVID too, and they tried to screw her bad. As they took her, she was a woman, Jamaican, everything they tried, and they forgot that she was a military officer, leading groups of people, directing people, and she had to set them straight, and she got them to pay. So, and now she's doing great, but she came to the class and we sorted out a bunch of stuff. So this is the link here to apply. So you have this whole link here, and you see the locations. You can file in person. They have multiple locations, okay? So you can do it that way. Now, this is where I wanted to really take you into the estimate, the contract and notice of cancellation, the change order form. So you can download them individually, or you can download them as a single file. So I'll do a single file. And you can see how nice it is, right? So it has the word estimate. You put your license number, the date of the estimate. You can put your logo on it. It's really done, really nice. So it has all the information. The one thing I do like about the estimate and all the paperwork is that at the bottom of each one, the consumer, the contractor, have to initialize it. That means that you reviewed all the information. And you see it has the materials. Both parties have discussed the brands and materials. The warranties that you're going to provide. And it permits, if you have to get permits. So this sample actually gives you everything. So, and it also protects the consumers. Says, hey, you can ask for references and do all of this stuff. Description of work. So it keeps on going. They initialize each page and what the proposed total cost. The only thing I don't like about this is that it doesn't cover sales tax. So I'm telling you now, cover it either as part of your total cost or break it down what that sales tax cost is going to be. So there are no surprises at the end. Contract. So now it moves into a contract. Once you get an estimate and the person says, I want to do this, you move to a full contract. You transfer a lot of the information. You see, it still has the salesperson, company information. That's why if someone else that also, people that are employees should not be signing contracts. Contracts are not valid. The owner has to sign contracts or ownership. So just keep that in mind. You put everything here, the warranties, you transfer everything. So materials supplied by contractor. See, remember someone was asking me, can the person provide the material, the consumer or the homeowner, can they provide the materials and equipment? Yes, they can. So you note it down here what they're going to provide. Or you can state they're going to provide all materials and equipment. Okay? Yes, Veronica.
When they say they provide all the materials, the homeowner picks up the material and bring it to the location?
Yes.
And the contractor is just the for labor, so he just comes in and do the work.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now this is where you run into risk. What's the risk? The risk is that the homeowner picks up the wrong materials or the wrong equipment. The reason why is you need to make sure measurements are done on the materials or equipment is right for the installation. For example, you get the wrong flooring. The flooring that you selected is it doesn't have, it takes on too much moisture and it's in the basement. You can't install it. So I advise people to reduce the risk of a problem is to go with the homeowner and sort of pick them out and say, okay, this is a material you should buy, right? And let them pay for it and it gets delivered. Fine. But if it's a simple act, it's like even buying a toilet or anything, it can be a problem because you don't know, if you don't know the spacing, what type of toilet to get, you're going to be in a problem. Now you got to return it, you got to do all this stuff. So I advise you to always go with the homeowner to buy it if they're going to be buying everything. And if you have specific serial numbers or product guide and you say, look, this is exactly what you need to get me, then you go and get it.
So you have to be specific, and the time the contractor takes to go with the homeowner, that's a charge?
Yes, you can. You can charge that time. So you take that into account. You say, do I have to go with you? Then you know in your estimate that, oh, you want to pull it? Okay. Or the materials are here? Boom. Right. Remember, if the materials are wrong, then we got a problem. So you have to ensure that the materials are right for what you're going to do.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And a shortcut way to do that also is if you take your mileage of the person's house and location and you add them up and then you times it by, I think, 0.50, you can get an average time of what you're spending in mileage and then add gas and tolls as your travel time expense. So if you know, hey, 5 days a week, I'm going to be going to here, to Home Depot, to this person's house. I think they moved it to 0.75 per mile, but from when I last remember, you could do 0.50 and you go into Google Maps or Waze or whatever, do the longest route. Don't take out the tolls and then average out the totals and add that into your pricing.
That's very nice, Esther. You can do it. You can do it. That's a good way of doing it. Just remember, your time is money. So
yeah, and if you're not going to use it towards your prices, then you need to use it as a deduction in your expenses, and your CPA will be able to navigate which one you can do, but you can't do both. You're either going to use it as a deduction or you're going to use it as part of the prices, but you can't have it both ways. Sorry, not to cut you off.
No worries. All right, so, and thank you for that. Required permits, remember you're responsible for permits. So this is the total project to consumer, right? And this again, remember you gotta add taxes to this because these forms do not account for that, which is weird. They tell you to collect it, but it's just not laid out correctly. So you can modify this form and make it your own. Now, if you're going to use subs, you got to tell them, hey, I'm using subs. I'm going to use subs for what? X, Y, and Z. So if you don't have your own personnel, I use subs to do everything. You got to let them know. But this is really the one thing that I do really like about this is the work schedule and the pay schedule. So estimated start time, substantial completion date, time is of the essence. That means that there's an emergency if there's the time of the essence. Contingencies that may impact the ability to meet and the agreed upon completion date. If you know you're working outside in the winter, can a snowstorm hit? Can wind, tornado, I don't know what we're getting nowadays. So we could get anything. But you should write a contingency or materials are delayed or anything, just to give the homeowner a sense, hey, we might get delayed if the weather drops below 20. So you have to put that. Remember we talked about the pay schedule or progress schedule? This is the one that I'm talking about. So where you would list the deposit and you would list the items, you can extend this and say, I'm gonna do demo on 1 and demo's gonna cost you X. I'm gonna do a rough, I'm gonna get everything ready. Once I'm ready, done, this is a payment. 3, so you can break down the payments even more because if the project is longer, but at least you're getting paid based on that progress. And a lot of contractors don't do this. They want money too much up front or they wait too much money at the end. And that causes a lot of issues. Daniel, go ahead.
Deposit after the 3-day agreement, the 3 days has passed. Can you take a deposit and use that to buy materials?
Of course, that's what the deposit is for. You can take the deposit the day of the contract, but don't use it until the 3 days are out. The deposit, all the money they give you, you can never spend it on anything else except the project. You can't spend it on your gas or anything. It has to be the project. When the project's over, you can spend it on whatever you want. But you cannot spend, you have to stay, that money is for the project.
And 20% is
And that should be a reasonable amount. Some people get very slick. There is a rule of sort of 15% or something with the city. But they want you to take whichever one is greater, and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. They have like a $20,000 limit. And I'm like, no, if a project's $200K, you're telling someone to take a 20K hit deposit. It would never make any sense. So the rule of thumb is that you get something acceptable, but not egregious. Not something, some people, I need 50% down. I'm like, are you crazy? There's no way, you haven't even done anything. So you take a 20% deposit. Remember we talked about change orders. So the change orders are here. So it tells you what the change order is about. The change will increase or decrease the original contract amount. Here, everyone has to sign, and again, the buyer may cancel the transaction, but you have to tell them about the 3-day cancellation. And
On a change order? Sorry.
And I'm about to go into the change orders. It's coming up.
Okay.
So they're see the attached notice of cancellation form for an explanation. You have to get that form set. It's in here. If not, I'll send it to you. And then here is just listing all the materials, being very detailed with what you're going to provide.
Excuse me, Mr. Fernandez.
Yes.
Also, I want to address everyone on this because something I experienced during my tenure in the industry
Yes.
is when it comes to change orders, also keep in mind that's also going to change the time of the estimated date of completion.
Nice. Very nice. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Right. So any increase or decrease will change your completion date. Esther, you had a question?
Oh, yeah, the question was in regards to the payments. When completion of work, I know there's this new law, I'm not sure if it qualifies for the construction, that usually the terms go into net 30. Is that?
No.
Okay.
This is upon completion. So
Oh, that's what I'm saying, after completion, there's a net 30 of the payment.
no, you're already agreed to the payment schedule. So everything on this side here is a piece. As soon as you list all the work that's performed, it's already a set deal.
Okay, so it's upon completion.
certificate of completion is a statement that certifies that everything has been completed on the project. The person signs off and removes liability, which they don't talk about here. They don't tell you that. But a COC is so valid, it can eliminate anyone coming back or anyone from trying to recoup something later on. So the COC must be part of your upon completion. So just keep that in mind. Let me go here. This is the notice of cancellation, which we talked about. They have to fill this out. And Sean, this is the change order, right? So you list everything, and it will change increase the project or decrease, which is good. And then you talked about contract time, remember? So here, everything's laid out. So is it going to move it up? Is it going to delay it? By how much time? And then everybody has to sign. And then you lay out everything. Is it adding or subtracting what you're going to do in a project? This is a pretty good, really a great document. I mean, you got the website, but I'll put it in the chat too. Just in case. You can download that to your computer. Okay. Someone's talking about fingerprinting here. You got to use their system for fingerprinting. You cannot go outside of the system, by the way, just to let you know. Ms. Brathwaite, you have...
Yeah, just a quick question with the change orders.
Yes.
So basically, this is straightforward. It's either an addition or a subtraction. The way I understood it, I was so fearful of change orders because they acted like it was always a fee to get a change order. So do you understand what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, change order, but like they're going to charge you for the change order, and then it could be an addition or subtraction. Is that like...
No, the change order
it's an amendment to...
It's an amendment to it. So, for example, you were doing structural, and let's say Shane or Kat, they're your architects, right? And they come up and say, hey, we got to change the beams we're going to use. It's not enough to support the structure. I'm just making it up, right? And we got to go a little bit thicker on what we had planned. Remember, you're on contract for a 6x6, and then they go, no, you're going to need a 10x10. I'm just making it. I'm winging it. And now we need a change order, because that's going to change the materials that you're going to need, and it might change the timeline, because you got to get a 10x10. So you see what I'm saying? But now let's say that let's reverse it, and they go, we have a 10x10 set, but we don't need a 10x10 no more because a 6x6 would do it. So I want to change that to a 6x6. Now we have to decrease that because that's not, it's okay to go down, but you can't cancel the contract. Now, if the materials were purchased, that's a whole different ballgame. Mm-hmm. Now you got materials sitting here, so that's going to be an additional cost.
But you're just not charging them for the act of the change order itself.
No, it's not supposed to be.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it happens in construction. It happens all the time. I mean, you think the MTA gets it right on the first try?
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. They say we don't want change orders, but they imply it like the change. Not that it could help you, because it could be less than what we originally negotiated. They act like a change order means it's always going to be this, like the cost of having to even change your mind, if that makes sense.
It's fear. It's
fear mongering.
Putting fear, and they're trying to make money on you. But you got to also see the extent of the change order, because if the change order is going to change the building plans or the approved plans, now we have to go outside and start a cycle brand new because you got to go back to DOB to get that.
Mhm.
So you got to be careful what we're asking you in terms of what the change order is going to be. If it's a minor change, like, you know when it's minor, you say, no, we need to change that. That's not going to work. Or I need to forget about the bathroom because I'd rather leave that for a later time. That's a simple ask. The work hasn't started, so we just remove it.
Got it.
It might not be in the budget. It might be that you went from a 6x6 beam to a 10 by, I'm making it up, 10 by 10, and now your cost went up there. Now you don't have enough for the bathroom. What are you going to do? You got to cut the bathroom out.
Right.
So,
When you talked about inducement, and you have the architect here that is, taking this class, can the architect also be the general contractor at the same time?
ooh. Well,
Remember, that was my question before when you were asking about, because look, I have I have a structural engineer that's like, I'm a structural engineer. He got like 50 million jobs. He's a structural engineer. He's a GC. He's also a special inspector. We didn't even talk about that. So, isn't that like a conflict? Is that inducement? Are you allowed to do everything?
Conflict of interest.
Every license has its requirements and limitations on what you can do. I just can't get into it. But if they're doing building plans, or are they going to be doing all the work, there has to be a distinction of the two, right? Because it gets into a conflict. But that, to me, is a whole different ball of wax. If I get into that, we're going to be here for a long time. So,
Can I just?
in order, 1 second, Ms. Chappelle, to reduce the amount, to reduce the liability or risk, it is best to separate both of them. So then the architect is independent and it's not project related at the same time. So they're more working on your behalf to protect the project and your property. That would be my advice to you. Okay.
Well, and just one more thing to add to that. You should have an independent project manager. The project manager oversees the whole project and the GC and keeping them on schedule. So that's also something you need to make sure you have if you're really serious about your business.
Esther, thank you. Now, let me go back. I think we are.
Oh, that was Carol. That was Miss Chaplin. She was talking about it, but I agree with her. Chappelle, sorry, yes.
Project manager. So I
was just clapping on her behalf because she's right about the project management stuff and having someone to monitor the contractors and making sure that everything is flowing correctly.
Just a footnote. Cost is cost. So there's budgets in everything, and there are limitations on how far you can go. The more personnel you add, the more cost it adds. So it just depends. So pre-planning a lot of this stuff is really important to avoid any pitfalls. Also, talking to other people that have done similar work. But remember, I talked about building a network of people you can rely on. It is very crucial in your business. You need a network. Mr. Keith, Lance Keith.
Oh, yes, thanks very much. The conversation just recently, it seemed like it was counter the contractor. We were talking from the owner standpoint.
Yeah.
He's the general contractor, and who's the general, and they're dealing with contractors saying, hey, you've made an agreement, we've got a contract, there's some changes you want to make to it, or whoever wants to make to it, and you're saying the contractors are trying to somehow get charges. I think it's okay if there's a significant change in a contract to have something in there to say, hey, wait a second, there's going to be some additional costs not just the materials only, but the work that we have to do, the whatever footwork, all of that could be factored in the contract also.
No,
But not just only materials. I'm just saying, just to rework, maybe. So I'm just saying, it's not just only it's going to be, oh, they're trying to add costs, because as a contractor, one has to factor in all of those things also.
Just to clarify, what Ms. Bradley was talking about is that they're charging her a fee just to do the change order.
I think that could be okay. I mean,
no,
what it is. Yeah.
It's fair game, because the more fees you keep charging, there are budgets that have to be kept. There are changes in projects that are going to increase. So like I used the beam example, right? It could be in Cat and Shank, and they've dealt with this all the time. There's a major change because building code is saying you can't do that no more. Your code, so you're going to have to cut something from the project. You can't just keep adding more money. There's no more money left over. So do you want to get into a spat or legal, a spat they call it, or a argument over, oh, you got to keep going because we got to do that? No, there's no more money. I have to do this one thing that is going to cost me more money. I have to shave off somewhere else. And that happens all the time.
And that's when you cut in corners.
It's not right. It's not cutting corners. It's just being realistic to what the project conditions are. For example, you go and rip out a wall, and all of a sudden the beams are cut or they're warped. What happens? You can't even touch the building no more. You have to go and get building plans done because that was not part of the scope. Now there goes a change order. Cost goes up because you got to do everything from the very beginning and do it correctly. So there's a lot to do, but this happens. This is construction. You start with one thing, you may end up with a different result at the end of the day because the unknowns pop up. Building codes pop up. Esther, you talked about regulation changing. Building codes change dramatically. Now we're talking about earthquakes and different things. So you take that into account when you're going through construction. That's why when you're pre-planning your project, you got to check your building codes. What are we doing here? Oh, can we use this type of material? Can we, or is it not? Are we using the right materials in terms of like bathrooms? And I use bathrooms because there's green board, there's the right material to use. Are you using the right stuff to stop the leaks, if anything, in the shower? There's a lot to do. But if something pops up, what are you going to do? You're going to say, "Well, I got to charge you for the change order and everything." It's going to happen. But you want to look. In business, you want referrals. You don't want people to say, "Hey, you're a nitpicker and you just want to make money off of me." You're not going to get referred. I am telling you 9 out of 10 times, you will not get a referral if you're nitpicking on everything to get paid. You're trying to build the relationship for a homeowner so you can continue to provide services and construction services to them. Case in point is when you own a home and you go and your neighbors do. You ever been to a neighborhood event or meet with your neighbors and they do one thing to their house? They're like, "Oh, I got to show you. My contractor did all of this for me." They want to show off, right? What happens? Who did you use? I used X. They're going to make that referral. That is what you're trying to build. Don't try to be, follow nickel and diming because it's not going to work. There is a business side of things at all times. And this is marketing 101. So just remember that. Right. And Cat, if you look at Cat's notes, it tells you change orders are going to happen. It's part of the process. Esther, you got a question?
Yeah, no, just going off of what you're saying. Remember also this industry is also relationship building and referral heavy. So when you start being one of those people that people feel like you're nickel and diming them, you're untrustworthy, you just, trying to penny pinch them and squeeze every dime, it gets around. I'm learning that because I'm getting into the government contracting, and a lot of it is the prime. A lot of us are going to do a lot of subcontract work before we actually get to a level of a prime, which is the person that takes on the big projects and then they hire everyone else. A lot of us are going to start off on a smaller scale, but you have to really build your relationships in this industry because it's a very small industry in New York City, and word gets around very quickly. It's even tighter in Long Island because Long Island is their own island, literally. So I would just say investing, knowing who the big people are, learning the material people, and building a really good relationship with everyone, because then you won't get as hassled as much. They won't try to, upcharge you on pricing. Like through the whole landscape, you really have to build really good relationships with people.
That is so true. That's what I've been, preaching for years. When you have a bad contractor or anyone in construction, do you complain more about what they did to you or the good times of the great work? You should complain more about the bad work, right? Because that is always on your mind. You feel like you got screwed. And this goes as a contractor, as a homeowner, as a property, and whatever it is. It's in us to complain more about someone that did some bad work. So just keep that in mind. You're trying to build a business the right way. I'm not saying to take your shirt off, and we're not doing that. We're just trying to do right and do it correctly in terms of business. A change order doesn't mean you're not going to get paid. Change order means that something's changing, it's modifying. That's all it is. And based on what I gave you, it tells you, are we adding or subtracting? That's all it is. And then, if you look at Kat's notes, she actually talks about, the indecisions of people or people not really knowing. But if you're very detailed in your projects and how you're going to approach it, everything else goes very smoothly. All right. All right. So we have a plan for the quizzes and stuff like that. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great time, and I thank you for everything. Thank you for all the questions, the input that actually, and I said this early on, your input is as valuable as mine. It helps everyone in the room, helps you move forward. So, just remember that this is a network of your own. So just stay to that and continue to build one, and continue to learn. So don't sit there and just think that you're going to figure out everything. Ask questions. Don't do something and then try to fix it. Ask the questions before you get into something.
Mr. Hernandez, are you going to post your contact information for us, or did I miss that already?
I did post
it. He posted it.
It's all the way up top. I'll bring it back down. I think I did that early on, and I said, let me put that there.
Okay, thank you.
You can also text me also. Let me see. Put it back again so you can have it. Yeah, and then okay, let's ask a simple question. No, please just give me a simple ask, and then we'll close it out, and we'll close it out the same way. But again, before anything, I want to say thank you for all your time and your efforts and for staying with it. I know this is tough to sit for hours and go through this whole ordeal. Any questions or anything?
Can we have the contact information for our classmates?
I'm gonna have Merrill from the office send that to everyone. So I'll talk to him on Monday or Tuesday, and then he'll be able to send everything out. If everyone agrees, then we'll send
100%.
it out. Okay.
Hi. Oh.
Daniel, you have a question?
Yeah, the answer key for the quiz, is that gonna be mailed out to us also?
Yes, of course, yes. So I'm gonna send it out. You just take quiz 1, quiz 2. Try to take one at a time, one each day. Don't look at the answer key. Don't cheat. I'm not watching, so don't cheat. But then you say, okay, I'm gonna take them all 3, and then you go and you check them all. If you have a question about a question and why did I get it wrong, then I'll explain that. So that just to help. Esther.
I just want to thank you. This class was very informative. It helps me understand the other things I do in construction because I do usually the photos and stuff for the insurance. So it was good knowing the other end of this. So thank you so much.
Oh, anytime, and thank you for your input. It's person with so much knowledge is very key to what we do here at QEDC and some of the other things that we do, and we do appreciate it. Having professionals from architects to people going through hell and back, like Ms. Brathwaite, which has become, and then people going through.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
It's transitional.
I taught some courses for QADC, so I'm a bit of a nerd.
But we got to continue to serve the community and help everyone else so they can understand how to be better contractors or better business owners. And that's my goal at the end of the day. I love what I do, so.
You can tell, and it's appreciated.
Yes.
Anytime. Any other, Lance Keith? I think Keith is frozen.
No, unfrozen. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah. But thanks for calling me. Thanks again for the class. I wanted to ask, since I'm very new to the business, I've got some work that I wanted to do, but I wanted to see how to estimate it. I've gotten one estimate, but I wanted to see how I could best estimate this work to be done. And so that's one reason I took the course. Also, would you like any websites or place I could go to or somebody maybe contact in order to do, there's a sagging floor that I wanted to work on just quickly, not going into detail on it, but I'm wondering, is there a place where information you could recommend?
I'm actually, this is a goal of mine and I've been trying, I did this years ago. I did put an estimating course together. But the instructor, we couldn't continue, and I'm looking to bring it back in English and in Spanish for now. So it's going to happen this year. I'm just putting the pieces together. So I'm bringing in some architects, some engineers that actually, can line things up for you. And then we're also going to do one on reading blueprints and business plans. I do have a company that specializes in AutoCAD and BIM. And what I'm trying to do is schedule that by the way, for the architects and engineer, I have something that combines AutoCAD and BIM into one with AI at the same time. It's a really phenomenal. It's a Canadian product, but it's only sold by one company here in the U.S. So it's a client of mine, and I said, let's do something for the business owners, the smaller ones. Of course, they want bigger clients. I'm like, no, let's do it for some of the folks that really want to transition over to a product that is more stable and it's more cost effective at the same time. So we're going to be doing that, so just stand by, okay? So we're doing safety, estimating, AutoCAD, BIM, blueprint reading type. So you'll be able to get your hands, in the technical aspects, but also reading the blueprints at the same time. So we're going to do that. Who else is out there? Harula.
Hi.
Thank you for everything. Great presentation. I just have 2 questions. I want to get my certification in the EPA for the lead.
Yes.
I need to do that and submit it before I take the exam, or?
If you're going to be working in old buildings, you must do it. But if you're not, you can sign an affirmation saying that you're not going to be. There's 3 documents.
Yeah.
There's one EPA, there's another one, and then there's a third that says, okay, are you going to be in older buildings? Yes or no? And then you put, no, I am not. And then you check the boxes, by the way. And that just says, I don't need it right now. I can continue to take the exam.
Oh, and then I can go back after the exam.
Exactly.
Get certified, because I feel like this is going to delay me now. I want to take the exam that everything is fresh.
No, you can do it. You can do it immediately. That was. Let me just show you before we get off. I'll show you what the affirmation is. Give me 1 second.
Is that difficult?
I'm sorry?
Is certification difficult or complex?
Yeah, no. You just got to sit in for 4 to 8 hours. It's 1 day, and then you get the certificate. But the hassle is you got to find someone that's giving it.
Yeah, I'm looking around and I'm having a hard time with that, actually.
You see right here?
Hours online, no, it's 8 hours. 6 hours on. You can do the 6 hours online, and 2 hours you have to go in for hands-on.
Oh, okay.
So you see this document right here? This is the one. Lead abatement are not required. So you open it up, and this is the one.
Okay.
But now this is the trick to this, and I say freaking form, and just bear with me because it doesn't make sense. But when you submit it, you got to look at it says not required. Check all that apply. So you're thinking that you fill this out, but people forget to click these 2 boxes, and it gets rejected every time. And I get students for years and like, hey, Mr. Hernandez, the guy rejected. And I'm like, no, you got to click on the 2 boxes.
Okay.
So you fill this out, and it says, my business is now required to obtain. Boom, boom, and sign and date, and you're done.
Okay.
That's the one you want.
And then go ahead and take the home improvement exam, and then once I finish that, then I could go get lead certified, the EPA.
You can go back anytime.
Okay. And can we bring this study guide with us when we take the home?
You can, but don't. I would just leave it home. You guys are gonna be fine.
Okay.
Just read it the day before. But they won't let you take it in the room. So.
Oh, they won't. Okay. So maybe.
No.
Like it's open book.
No,
I know.
no open book.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to leave with everyone. Also, if you're really in this business and you're going to be scaling up, I would advise you to, if you're qualifying to get the MWBE certification, they're giving a lot of programs and funding where you're not going to have to compete for certain contracts, especially on a subcontractor level. And like I just found out MTA does all these courses. Once you're in their database is MWBE, they show you how to estimate projects, everything, but you have to be certified to be in their database to even qualify for some of these programs that they're teaching. And they build you up to do contracts with them. I'm just learning this myself as I'm going to these different contracting things. And MTA had one in Queens, and they broke down a lot of programs that I was not aware of that they were doing, but it's only because I'm certified that they're offering these type of special programs on a federal level and on a city and state level. And it could be very small projects, but they're guiding you through even helping you get bonded, how to get bridge loans for in between projects, all these type of stuff. So if I give anybody else advice, look at the programs the city and state are doing, because when they put you in the database, they'll start reaching out to you for these small, like I'm helping someone with their abatement program. They didn't have anyone certified for a $50 million project in DOE for abatement. and they've been looking for people. And because we're not registered in these databases and stuff, we're not in there, and we could just be 10% of a project. You know, I'll take 10% of 50 million, then I don't need to take the 50 million, but you build up credibility and become a resource. And when they can't find someone, they start pulling you up and then sending you work. Once I got in the database, I was getting sent bids for stuff that I didn't even know existed because I just started putting myself in the database.
Yeah, it's good. It's great information. Remember, it just as a footnote to that is you need to understand your business model first, because the government space it's not an easy one. Takes months, bid proposals. You have to spend time on it, and costs for a business runs. It does not stop. So if you're not making money, you're going to suffer the consequences. So you got to manage that correctly. Focus on acquiring clients, learning your trades, and then when you really want to add even more to diversify your client pool, that's when you start doing other things to better prepare yourself. Because if you're not making money and you're trying to pursue something that takes a long time, what's going to happen is you're going to run out of patience and money, and it doesn't work well. So, it's important to understand that. I just, when it comes to the government space, that's something that I've been doing for 19 years, and the programs are great, but if you're not established, programs don't work. You need money. I'm straight. I tell you how it is, and that's what I'm just back at. I understand, your point, and I'm glad that things are going from, just MWD to 1.5 mil, and then 30% here, 6% there for veterans. Great programs, but if you don't have the financial capacity to deal with that, or the money coming in, makes it harder to operate. So,
yeah, they started doing programs for that, working with certain things for contract bonding and contracts in it. I'm not saying you're absolutely right, but I think a lot of us started advocating because we were getting these issues. And I've been in Albany where they're starting to put laws and structures in place to help the small business owners, because we were complaining. I was in law, Albany, complaining about us not getting paid on time, waiting for payments, bids are taking 6-7 months, and it's built into messing up our infrastructure. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but we've been starting to make headway with them starting to have better payment structures for us. Premiums including reactive all they pass with Med30 or in the I'm in the media space, where they have to pay and then working with the Department of Worker Protection, and they go after them. So just keep up with dates of laws, legislation. I think sometimes we don't think about those things, but I yell at these people because I want this stuff to change, because I want people to win. We're New Yorkers. We should be getting paid good money. It's the cost of living is crazy over here. So I try to tell advocacy is also important in this space, because if we want change, these legislators need to put certain bills and things in place to benefit us.
of course.
That's all.
Yeah, we'll have a longer discussion. So, we there are many things that need to change, and having the right ear is important. But thank you. We'll talk offline. Any other questions?
Does anyone know a special inspector?
A what?
Special inspector?
What is a special inspector?
That's just so funny that you asked that question. But Mr. Architect, I don't know if he can chime in. In order for me to pull my permit they said I needed to hire a special inspector. I didn't know what that was. When I call all the contractors, they don't know what it was, but they are actually, you pay them and they work for the DOB to inspect the projects that the architect call out that need inspections, such as structure and stability or this or that. But they're supposed to be advocating for the homeowner on behalf of the DOB. But no one in the world knows what the SIA, Special Inspection Agency, is in the contract world. And I noticed you didn't even mention it. So I'm confused.
It's Shane, Kat, you want to take
I can speak to it. Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you, Shane. Hi, Shane.
Yeah, no problem. And actually, if you want, we can talk after because there are different types of special inspectors. So depending on the scope you need, you could look up that specific one. So like for concrete work, you're going to need maybe rebar or something like that. So someone that actually can kind of do the testing of the concrete, things like that. So it depends on the scope, and there should be listed on the cover sheet of the drawings which special inspections you need. And then it's up to the contractor to kind of schedule those at interval before the work gets covered up, before it's too late.
Right. And that's what I have. But what I'm understanding is that the special, and like I just had to like let my special inspector go because it was a conflict of interest with the contractor. And I felt like he was not being, unbiased to his findings. So now my permit could be held, right? Because I have to now, you as an architect have to invite a new special inspector and I have to find one. What I'm finding is that it's very difficult to find these special inspectors, and these contractors, Mr. Hernandez, don't seem to know what a special inspector is, which I find like, I'm like, am I getting punked here? What is really going on? Like, how do you not know? So I don't know if it's like the architect. My architect seems to be very thorough and he's really on point, but I'm about to scream at him in a minute like, dude, did you just make up a special inspector just to make my life complicated? Because it's not like you could go to the yellow pages just to get a special inspector. Like no one, it's not the home inspection people, it's a special inspector from DOB, SIA.
Right. Yeah, it's supposed to protect homeowners, businesses, things like that. If you want, reach out after and I can help look up. It depends on the scope, so we can look at the cover sheet. Your architect should be able to help you find one. But we
I
can
know
look
I
at
want someone who's unbiased. That's the problem. I feel like everyone's scamming. So I don't want no one that knows no one. I want somebody who doesn't know anybody so they could call out what the problems are. We could get it fixed.
Right. Talk to Shane. Shane, you just please put your contact information in the chat.
Sure.
And then, because we're going to close it out, and the chat doesn't hold that information, just in case. But Kat is another one who's an architectural architect. So just put your contact information there. You have two architects.
Thank you.
You know their stuff.
Yes. Thank you.
So they've been around the block a couple of times already. So thank you, Shane. Thank you for that.
Hi, hello, Mr. Egger. Hi, I have two questions. This is MK.
Yes.
Hi, my first question is I'm looking at the attendance sheet and it's showing that I wasn't marked present for today. And
No, I haven't finished yet.
Oh,
I'm just working on it.
My second question is regarding, let's say if I want my LLC to be named PJ's Donuts, and I'm going to be doing all type of businesses, real estate, hair salons, all that. When I finish and pay for all these licenses, do I have them name my contractor license PJ's Donuts too, or is it going to be my?
Hey, that's your company name. So you have one company name. You could do a DBA, which is a doing business as, off that name. And that would be a secondary name, so they're interchangeable, but that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Oh, do you know of any more free trainings in terms of getting a free handyman training, a free real estate broker training, agent training?
I put one in the chat. It's in there for the handyman.
Thank you so much. This was such a thorough training. Thank you, Lisa, Brathwaite, everyone for all your input. This was really eye-opening, and thank you all so much.
Thank you. I have Kat, and then I have Ting. and then I think we're gonna call it a wrap. Anyone else? Ting.
Yeah, I have a question. I have two questions. First, can we have the contact information of our classmates?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Merrill, who works at the office, to send it to everyone. So you'll get an email from Merrill with email and phone number and full name. Okay?
Okay, and the second, can I have the recording of our class?
Yes, you will. Merrill's gonna send you that in a couple of days, but you can only review it for a short period of time because it's gonna get deleted. So you gotta wait for an email to come to you. Okay?
Also, if we have any questions, can we reach out to you after class?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I gave you my contact information. It's in the chat.
Okay.
Okay?
So you are the business counselor, right?
Say that one more time.
Are you the business counselor?
No, I'm not doing counseling. So if you need counseling, you gotta contact QEDC.
Hey.
What I do is that
she did?
I used to do counseling and advisement, but I had to stop because I'm doing too many things. So I teach more and I run a consulting business, and I also do run a nonprofit at the same time. And do some other things. But that's about it. I don't do advisement under anymore under QEDC because it's too. I just don't do it anymore. But the QEDC will line you up with the appropriate person you need to talk to. What I did is I gave you my contact information. If you need something, you have a quick question, I'll answer it. I'm not here just to go away, but I'm here to help. Okay? All right, Kat, you got a question?
Is the contribution the same Shaitel about the special inspection is not typical, but usually in the old construction is mandatory because needed verify and specify the critical element in the building or the element example to the structural components, or maybe when they has something the fire in the house or whatever. That is usually the person needing special inspection. It's not really a scary thing. It's good because it's the prevention, it's the quality control for the construction too.
See, Ms. Brathwaite, I'm gonna have to start charging you. I think we now this is a change order now. Now I'm gonna hit you.
But you said
I got my specialists, I got everybody. I think you got your money's worth.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. But it was informative for everyone. No one knew what a special inspector was. I thought I would help. You didn't touch on it. I was shocked.
No, but I thought it was like a special cereal or something.
See? It's the DOBs, people. Well, the problem in the DOB people, for my experience, is usually really is not very clear what he want to do in the construction, because sometimes it's not people working in the construction site and has experience, and sometimes it's no architect. That is the problem. Usually you need to refer for your architect or for the expediter, and sometimes the expediter no has all the experience you need to know about the construction site too.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Kat.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So MK, you still have your hand up. I'm gonna close it out. You're good? Oh, she's done.
Good. Thanks. I'm gonna send you an email regarding the proper spelling of my name. But thanks so much, everyone.
No worries. Thank you. All right, so let me start calling out some names. I want to say thank you for being on and participating. You need anything, just reach out. And just, continue to learn, continue to develop. And I look forward to seeing you soon in maybe in another course or anything that we're doing. And I will keep you posted. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So,
Yes,
and, there
Mr.
was a-
Hernandez, thank you, and God
Oh,
bless.
you're welcome, man.
Yes, I appreciate it a lot.
Anytime. And, Marillas, have a good one. Take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you so much for everything. Could I just get the link for the home improvement model contract? You said you were gonna put it on there, but I didn't see it.
Hold on a second. I think it was there.
I'm coming, huh?
Where are you? Yep. That was a checklist. Here we go. I'm gonna copy link and send it. There you go. Done.
Okay, thank you so much for everything. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Have a good one, okay?
To be safe. Bye.
I have Bobby Bruno here. Bobby, have a good one. Miss Chappelle, have a good one. Take care of yourself.
It's been a pleasure. Yes, you too.
It's a pleasure, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Don't leave, Edward. Hold on one second. Charlie Huang, Charlie, take care of yourself. Christian Alvarado, have a good one. Christian, you're here, right?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Daniel Rivera.
Thank you.
Perfect. Take it easy. Darren, take it easy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's no Lee. Miss Brathwaite, have a good one and good luck with everything.
Thank you. I'm gonna send you pictures.
Perfect. Send them. I'd love to see them. Edward Gonzalez.
Yes.
Have a good one,
Mr.
okay?
Hernandez. Hey, you too, man. God bless. We'll be in touch.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Bye.
Same here.
All right, thank you.
Esther, have a good one. It was a pleasure. Thank you for everything.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Franklin Fraser. I don't think we have a Franklin. Oh, Franklin. Wait a minute. I do have a Franklin. Thank you, Franklin. Have a good one.
Forgot about me, bro.
No, never. Not a person that looks like Eric B. and Rakim. Never, never.
No problem, man. I appreciate you, man. All the information is great. Esther, you're great. You're magnificent. Everybody, pleased to meet y'all. Keep in touch.
You too. You too.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Franklin.
All right.
Hey, Gail, it was a pleasure. Have a good one, okay? Thank you. Harula, it was a pleasure. Have a good one, okay?
You too. Bye-bye.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hernandez. I have a hard stop. Thank you so much. This is Valerie.
Oh, perfect, Valerie. I'll mark you off, okay?
Thank you so much. Please keep in contact.
You too. Thank you. Jen Nieves, have a good one. Jose, no, there's no Jose Soto. Kat, I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay,
Thank you for being on.
Perfect. Thank you.
There's no Kevin here. Kevin Velez is here. I know Kevin is here. Right, Kevin? Kevin? Is Kevin here?
I'm here. Yeah.
Perfect.